Hello everybody, my name is Hunter Hero, and welcome to, this is a little bit more of an experimental list, plus a little bit of an experiment with how I do deck profiles from here on out. But this is my idea for a Orcust Superheavy Samurai list. This has been in the tank for a little bit, just brewing to see if this list comes together, because I've had an itch to play Orcust, and I really don't want to play it the old way, so we're going to play it in this way. We're going to try to do my best to discuss weird interactions and stuff like that as I go through the list or post list if it comes to mind. But yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time rambling here. So let's get this list started. And starting off this list is 3 copies of Girsu, the Orcust Mech Knight. This card is our primary normal summon and can be pendulum summoned off of our Super Heavy Samurais. On summon, it dumps any Orcust or World Legacy card, but you actually are normally just dumping Nightmare with this, unless you drew it. It sometimes creates the token if you lead with it, but I normally want to save the Orcust stuff till after the Super Heavy Samurai stuff sees all the interaction, so you're not really going to see the token too much. And it's better if given the option to not let him become a tuner, because this conflicts with Waka Uchi. And we'll get to that when we get to Waka Uchi, but you don't want him to become a tuner as long as you can. For our other Orcus, we are on 2 Nightmare, 2 Skeleton, and 1 Warblond. This is probably the lightest Orcus package I've probably played in any list that I've made. But the reason is because he's too big of a level to pendulum summon, so you don't want to play any more than him. And these ratios are fine enough. Girsu is normally just enough of a name to get through the entire Orcus combo on his own at this point. You need the symbol for setup, and I need multiples, just because I don't like not having access to this, just in case this gets banished off of like a ogre or something. Same thing with Nightmare. You just kind of want to double up on these just to give you constant access to them. But yeah, that's it for our Orcust monsters. So moving on to the Super Heavy Samurais, we have 3 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Prodigy Waka Uchi. This card, right before recording, I realized that he's a dark, which comes up a little bit because all the Orcust dark lock you. So Waka Uchi not, being able to not be affected by that is fantastic. Plus, he's a tuner. You're only using his scale effect, so we're going to read that. Is while you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can scale the other pendulum that we're playing in the deck, and then special Waka Uchi. Like, it's so free, like, because it specials it from scales. It can't be ashed or anything, and the fact that this sets up the big Benkei is fantastic. It's the only other pendulum we're playing, and you want to search at least another one of this during combos so you can set up scales to properly pendulum summon. But yeah, no, this card's scary. This card slaps. Speaking of the other Super Heavy Samurai, we have 2 Monk Big K, Benkei. I think you can attack one of the defense. Nah. You can send Benkei for his monster effect to special summon him. It doesn't come up very much because you want to save it in deck for Waka Uchi. But its scale effect searches you the equipped monsters that do all your like extra effects and stuff. So 2, because drawing him means that Waka Uchi becomes a break in hand if you draw 1 and you're only playing 1. Yeah, because he only takes from deck. I had to reread Waka Uchi just to make sure, but yeah, no, he only takes from deck, so you have to, you have to account for that. So you also can't pendulum summon him with himself. His level's just a little too big. For the other Super Heavy Samurais, we are on 3 Bike. 3 Bike eats Ash and catches Droll. That's all this card's meant to do. This also has an interaction specifically with Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon, because this is a level 2 tuner. So you pitch this, search Waka Uchi or any other Super Heavy Samurai name you need, and then you can synchro into the Excel Stardust, and then Stardust summons this back. Depending on where they interact with your lines, that might come up. I haven't done it a whole lot, but I have the package in there just in case without the Stardust. But yeah, this card's crazy. It can also modulate its level to 4, which matters for making Borreload Savage. Onto our non-equips, we have 1 wagon, 1 scales, and 1 stealthy. Wagon, I think, is like normally a normal summon, but you're never using him for that, from what I've seen in playtesting. Most of your normal summons are going to exclusively to Gearsu. But if you're forced to normal summon this, the thing searches the souls, which are the equips. This is normally the one you're summoning mid combo to get the extenders you need to set up your end board. Because on special summon, he's targets a guy in your graveyard and special summons it. It has to be a level 4 or lower, but you can use that to if you open just super heavies with this card makes Geargant X and keeps Waka Uchi on board, depending on how many samurai names you open, allowing you access into your Orcust stuff through this one card being summoned out of the deck. So, and then Stealthy is just a free body. He also kidnaps opponent's spells, but that only matters if you go second. The primary use for him is to be an extra free body that you can summon as long as you have no spellers or traps in your graveyard. Yeah, that's enough about them. Let's get on to the souls. So we are on 3 Soul Piercer. This card's crazy. It wasn't until I started playtesting this deck that I realized the actual power of this card. So what this card does is that you can equip it to Superheavy Samurai, and then when it's sent to the graveyard from the board, it doesn't even need to be equipped to something. It just needs to be on the board. You search, and neither of those effects are once per turn, allowing you to rack up Soul Piercers to get more searches through your combo. So like something I tend to do a lot is that if we go scales early with a Soul Piercer engrave, you go get scales, summon the Soul Piercer back, link these 2 off, and then get another search from Soul Piercer, which is super fantastic because it helps keep your hand full of cards, and it helps deck thin. So yeah, this card's fantastic. We are also on 3 of Soul Peacemaker. This card was originally at 2. We were playing 2 of this and 2 stealth. But in playtesting, I found out the third one of this came up a lot more than the second stealth did. And this card just allows you to trade a Super Heavy Samurai for another one. So it equips, you tribute it, and then it summons one from deck. This is a majority of how we're getting through some of our weaker combo hands is through searching this card. And one of the one-ofs that we're about to show you is choose through the hands. And also this is a level 1 for like Link Rebo stuff, so you can in a pinch equip Soul Piercer to this and then link off of Link Rebo to get a search for Waka Uchi if your hand's really, really bad. For the only one of, we are playing 1 Soul Gaia booster, and this thing just summons itself for free. So you equip it, and then you can special summon it. And the reason this comes up a lot is because in hands where you just open stuff like this, or like let's see here, where's the guy? Like Wagon. You can go like Wagon, equip Soul Gaia booster, special it, and then equip these, and then tribute this off to go get it a different guy out of the deck. And he's a level 4, so you can also make Gear Gains with him, which will trigger the Soul Piercer as well. So that's just like one of the interactions that this guy has. Him being level 4, and he makes whatever he's equipped to a tuner. So if you somehow have imbalanced your tuners on board, you can equip this to a Super Heavy and make that thing the tuner, so you can get climbing. I haven't resolved that yet, but it might come up. For the hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Ghost Mourner, 3 Veiler, and 3 Droll. While Droll isn't super strong in this format, we need monster hand traps, and I prefer Droll over main decking something like Lancia right now. Ash is just the easiest monster hand trap to play in the game, next to Veiler. And Mourner's just more copies of Veiler. Since we can't play Impermanence in this list, you gotta play something else that fits the job. The only thing I can suggest about any of these is that if you are really, really desperate for that second body to do like, to get into like Lynx or something, any of these normal summon can do it. It's just that you really don't want to. But there are hands where it's like Wakaushi, a like search and equip, and you have a hand trap, and you just need to get the Wakaushi out of off the board so you can trigger the float effect of the equips. So summoning these doesn't really hurt. And then the last 2 cards in our deck is the one Babel and the one Crescendo. These are the only Orcust back row you can afford to play, and it is because they can both remove themselves out of the graveyard to keep your Super Heavy Samurais online. Babel does it by pitching a card out of your hand, and then it sets itself back to your board. And then Crescendo can banish itself to grab a Dark Machine, but it locks you into Dark Machines, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Wakaushi is a Dark Machine, so you can actually search it with this. And then as long as you're playing just Super Heavy Samurai, Orcust stuff into it, you can ignore the graveyard effect restrictions from this. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra. We are on 2 Galatea, 1 Longirsu, and double Ding. Most of this is like this is mostly standard up to this point. I've seen some list play just these. And I don't like that. I like the ability to flex back into the Orcust stuff if things get really bad. And Longirsu being spot removal, Dingirsu being able to be set up multiple times is fantastic, and they protect your board. These 2 prevent your scales from being popped up. So it means that if you end on the end board where it's Appaloosa, IP Masquerena, this with a Symbol Skeleton and a Borreload Savage, your scales can be protected and you don't have to burn one of your 2 negates to keep them safe. Non-targeting removal, and this sets your Omni or your Babel, and that's all you really needed to do. That's it for the Orcust stuff. We're not playing any super heavy cards in the extra, actually. We're playing Link Rebo, IP Masquerena, and then we're also playing Clifford Genius. This is because this is like the easiest 2 to make in this deck. Like these 2 are almost self-explanatory. This card, you're not really wanting to search with it. You just need it in the graveyard because you don't want to burn your Orcust stuff super often on Borreload Savage, so you need another 2 to make. And then for our last 2 links is a Nightmare and an Appaloosa. Depending on how much gas you have, you can either end on the Appaloosa or you just sit with the IP to make into it. Either way works. I'm not sure yet, but if testing shows up, we could kind of ding for a Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. We'll make a follow-up video, or I'll remake this deck profile once I get some more testing in. Again, most of this is just hypothetical and stuff that I've seen like in my practice hands. But yeah, so that's our link package. There's not really a whole lot to explain here. The only ding exceeds we're playing is Gear Giant. This card just searches any machine out of our deck, so if we open too many Super Heavy Samurais and we need access to Orcust, this is our way to get there. And as long as you have not burnt both your Pen Summon and your normal summon to get to Gear Giant, you can just use whatever summoning you haven't gotten to get Gearsu on board to get a free dump. And then this thing just turns into link material afterwards. So he's not bad. And then for our synchros, we have Scarlight for when we go second, Borreload Savage, Excel Stardust, and Baron. The only card that I have not played a whole lot of testing with is this card leading into this one. And that is because the most of the testing I've done is in a vacuum, which is where I've learned most of these interactions, and I haven't seen this deck play in person, which is why this is like a hypothetical list. I haven't taken this out to dry yet. But this should come up in insurance cases where access to Savage just isn't going to be feasible with Link Monsters. So you need to make this to make a Baron to just end on something. And again, Bike does that, so... traditionally, though, you do want to end mostly on Borreload because you can pick up any of your Link Monsters to get an Omni up. But yeah, that's... And then the Scarlight's just for going second. Sometimes you just need that spot removal. So most of your end boards... I don't know why I'm digging in the main deck. Well, I guess to grab, like, Simple. So... most of your end boards should look... something about like this, depending on how many starters and extenders you see in combo, should determine on how much like this your board should end up looking like. Where is he? This, with this under it, and this activated. Having them linked doesn't really matter too much because you're using skeleton to boost to bring back the ding for spot removal. But it's like an Apo for 3, Boro load for 2, IP loaded for a unicorn play using the ding, and then the ding turns into a spot removal. And you should still have like 2 to 3 cards in hand that are either engine or non-engine, depending on how well you drew. Most of the time, if you can't access the Boro load stuff, like this should be fine. Like these 3 interactions should be fine, or if you're really down bad, this should be enough. Some decks in the format can't even outplay this. But again, this is why I brought up at the start and the end of this video is that a lot of this is experimental. So do keep that in mind when judging this list, that I haven't had a chance to run this out to locals yet. So we're in untested waters at this point. So if you have any thoughts, or if you've played this list before or anything like that, please let me know. Because the more I learn about this deck, the more likely we are to see success with this, and we need to work together to make the list as best as we can. So any input, thoughts, opinions, and all that, I will read. I'm not sure if I'm getting back to everyone in my comments. I'm sorry about that if I haven't. I'm a busy man. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for this deck profile. Normally I would like to try to go a little more in depth, but I don't exactly have a long script for all this. So, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.